afraid, okay? Little girl?
We reached for the stars. Acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
Stay away from the gas! Stay there!
Starting a television show is one of the biggest commitments one could make. There's usually a bunch of questions you ask beforehand. How many seasons are there? How many episodes? What genre is it? If it's finished, does it end well? How reliable is the person who's recommending the show? Yeah, lots of questions. But say you do pick out a show. The first episode is crucial in terms of whether or not you want to continue the series. Not that that's always the case, because sometimes the first episode doesn't hook you as much as you thought it would, but you know via word of mouth or critic reviews that the show gets better. But I think we can all agree that just in general, first episodes are extremely significant. However, there's one thing that might just be slightly more important. Most of the greatest shows of all time have had strong opening scenes that hook the audience from the start. Is it the most important thing in the first episode? Debatable for sure, but think of it as a resume. An employer will get a good sense of who you are based on the first 10 seconds of looking at and or reading your resume. If your resume slaps, then you've hooked the employer. They're interested. So what defines a quality opening scene? Well, it should be something that sets the tone for the rest of the show. Something that establishes what type of show you're about to watch and introduces the journey the audience will go through, as well as help foreshadow the themes the show will explore. If the viewer is asking themselves questions from the very first scene, then it's mainly a success. Twin Peaks' opening scene shows the body of a young woman wrapped up in plastic washed up on a shore. The vibe is eerie and mysterious, especially with the music in the background. When the sheriffs identify that it's Laura Palmer, you understand that she is a well-known person in the area. So immediately you ask yourself, who was Laura Palmer and who killed her? The Leftovers' opening scene includes people disappearing out of thin air. We ask ourselves, why are people disappearing? Where did they go? Literally, what's happening right now? So the importance of an opening scene can't be overlooked, especially today with the attention span of viewers being a fucking rock. But there's one in particular that I tend to rewatch a lot. One that perfectly establishes the ethos and themes of its show. The best opening scene to a television show that I have ever watched. The opening scene of The Wire. Now, to anyone who hasn't watched The Wire, please do, because it's the greatest show of all time. And I say that as a massive Breaking Bad fan and as an extreme appreciator of The Sopranos. The Wire is a show that spans across 5 seasons that explores the drug trade through the perspective of law enforcement as well as the drug dealers and users. Every season deals with a different institution of the city, such as the port system, school system, politicians, and the media, all of which are intertwined with the effects of the drug war. So surely a show that tackles that much has to have an insane opening scene. Like some crazy shit, right? No. No, it doesn't. You whores. It doesn't. Walk with me, though. Let's analyze the first scene of The Wire. At that, cue the HBO signature first. Thank you. Let's continue. We start off by seeing flashing cop lights, a dead body on the street, and police writing stuff. So not even half a minute in, we understand that we're at the scene of a crime. Shit went down. Our attention is grabbed right away. We then transition to two characters talking to one another. Now, I usually tell people that the main character of The Wire is the city of Baltimore, but if you had to pick someone, it's Jimmy McNulty. So we're introduced to our main character talking to someone who saw what happened to Snot Boogie, the person who was murdered. The first 45 seconds of the conversation is them discussing Snot Boogie's name and how he got it. It doesn't go straight to the aggressive questioning from the law enforcement figure that we're used to. It's a cordial back and forth. The guy talking to McNulty then explains that Snot was killed during a game of craps, which a lot of the guys from the neighborhood participated in on Fridays. Snot would usually wait till he saw money, then take it and run away, which led to him getting beat up most of the time, but nothing more than that. When McNulty asks why Snot was allowed to play if he tried to steal the money all the time, the other guy responds by saying,
Got. This America, man.
God, such a fire line. But yeah, that's the entire first scene of The Wire. I'm sure most of you are asking why I'm gassing up such a simple scene. Well, shit ain't that simple, fuckers. The reason why I think this scene, particularly this conversation, is so significant is because it exemplifies what The Wire is all about. The show's main detective, McNulty, is doing his thing, asking questions, but we also get the perspective of a citizen from the streets of Baltimore, and it's without McNulty dismissing or belittling him. McNulty is actually listening and paying attention to what he's saying. Perspective is something that The Wire excels at because we don't just focus on how law enforcement deals with things, but rather how victims of dysfunctional and helpless institutions of America who aren't dealt a fair hand navigate through life. Snot always fails at winning a game of craps, so he tries to finesse his way into obtaining the money at hand. In doing so, he's usually beaten down but is somehow always allowed to play. Because it's America, and everyone deserves that chance. But what we think is a chance at achieving a dream is instead hope for survival, because of our failure as a society. Life's an unfair game that we all have to play through, so we have to find any way possible to make it worth it. A simple conversation between two people discussing how a murder stemmed from a game of craps is a metaphor for the failure of the American dream. You believe that? Strong opening scenes don't always have to be high-octane attention grabbers that blow you away. Does it help in getting people to stick around? Sure. But when an opening scene is able to portray a show's message in just 2 minutes with elite writing and literally just 2 characters, you've done something right, and you've definitely earned my trust as a viewer. So yeah, good opening scenes. Important. I can't guarantee that I'll stick around for the whole thing, but I'm willing to give it a chance.